Do you think that Europe is ready for DAC, for this project?
We have been working for the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years in the European DAC delivery program to move on towards the future deployment of the digital automatic coupling. And this is based on work that is going on already before in the Shift to Rail program on IP5, as well as work done, as was discussed also today in the workshop, before. So we are ready to move ahead with the DAC deployment, but we need a lot of elements to be there. We have discussed about the need to define a clear migration plan. We need to have an investment plan. We need to define and finalize all the detailed specification, address other technological and operational issues. But Europe has a need to evolve from the rail freight to create the performance of rail freight that is demanded by the clients. And the DAC is really one of the key enablers in this respect.
And do you have any schedule by the years? How does will go and continue with the DAC?
Let's say that the target that we are giving to ourselves, because we are planning the works, is 2030. 2030 is the end of these decades. This means that we need to take a series of steps that I was mentioned before that need to be ready by 2025, 2026 in order to be able to start the migration towards the DAC. What does it mean? That by these dates, 2025, 2026, we need to have clear which is the funding available, which is the migration plan, and so on, in a manner that the supply industry can start the industrialization processes for the wagon, for the locos. The operational solution are starting to be ready. Clients are informed of the possible migration, workshop stuff. So all the steps have to be done. So it's clear that this plan is a high-level plan, is a target indicative date, but it can evolve during the time.
And do you think that could be any, let's say, concerning an interim period of a DAC after 2030? I mean, some hybrid coupling or something like that?
The migration plan is designed up to now in a manner that by the introduction of the DAC, we reduce at the minimum the risk of disruption created by the double solution, because this will not be the solution. This is the reason why we are working together towards a European solution, a European migration plan. So the idea would be to ensure that by when the full DAC deployment will take place, we have addressed all the shortcomings, we have addressed all the elements that will allow to have, by when the full DAC deployment will take place, one single European DAC in place.
And here in discussion, Cede Carco opened the topic of financial task of DAC. What's your opinion? Should EU prepare some, let's say, dotation for the wagon owners, for wagon keepers?
The question of the funding and the financing is put on the table today by Cede Cargo, but it's not new. It's for all European sector. We have a gap. The gap is that we need to sustain the cost a certain point of time, maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, and the return on investment, as we heard from the economic studies, can be in the long term. We need to fund this gap, and this gap has to fund with a combination of resources. The sector is asking for public funding to cover the gap for a certain up to a certain point, and a combination of private funding. Clearly, the mix of the two will depend on how we are able to build the business case. The DAC, as we heard in the different occasions, is an enabler for capacity. It will help the climate change aspects. It will support the energy efficiency. That is one of the critical elements today. Will support the implementation of automation and so on and so on. So I think what has been put today on the table in the discussion about the funding and financing is a requirement that should be clear before we are going to have a commitment, close commitment, firm commitment of the sector to go ahead, that we need to address the funding and financing as well the technology, the final operation and the different type of solution.